a day or two ago.
Okay. All
I'll support that.
right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Great. And
Communications.
yep. I just want to say in the Google Drive, I did put a link to all of the feedback that we've gotten. Haven't gotten a lot of feedback. I did get recently a really nice set of comments from the Huron River Watershed Council. They went through the entire plan, and they have if you go into the PDF and you go, there are little yellow kind of comment things. And if you click on those, you can read the comments. And I really thank them for that. And I think Suzanne Flowers responded, which was nice. And a couple people, mostly from the co-housing. So I think that hit maybe their email blast or something in co-housing. So that was really great to have. Bob.
So when I looked on the Google Drive, I saw .msg files. I didn't see PDFs.
Yeah. Did you click on the MSG file? Because it should.
Yeah, and I can't open it because I don't have.
Oh.
I had the same problem.
Okay. I need to change that then.
Thank
okay.
you.
I will. Okay, that's my fault. Because most of them were emails with comments. And so I'll probably have to figure out, maybe what I'll do is I'll put a document together with all the emails. Most of them didn't, it wasn't like a PDF comment thing or whatever. It was just sort of an email. Okay.
Jan, where on the agenda are we now?
Communications.
Okay. Right.
Okay. Anyone else get anything? I did send it to, I have to circle back with the folks that were working on Resilient Washtenaw because I did send it to them. I haven't heard anything back yet. And I did send it to, who else did I send it? All of the, no comments from trustees, LPC. I did have a conversation with Barry Lonick. He said he looked at it. I asked him for some actual statistics, which he sent to us. So now we have the percentage of conserved properties, both from an agricultural standpoint and a natural a conservation standpoint for natural features. And one thing that came up that was very interesting in that conversation is he said, it's about 13.4% of land currently that's preserved or under conservation easement in Scio Township. Mm-hmm. But he said, what that land doesn't include are, all of the PUDs that come in, and a lot of the, some of the subdivisions that come in as PUDs, they're required to have at least 30% of, their area of open space, and that can't include the individual lots, if you will. And for instance, Woodview Commons that's under construction and has that conservation easement over the conservation over the Heron Rookery. They have 31 acres of woodlands and wetlands that are basically that have to be maintained as open space, in the current condition. They have to maintain it. And then I think it's Heritage Woods is the next one, has 60%, but I have to go back and see how much of that is, some of that is woodland, wetland, et cetera, and some of it's recreation space.
So that 13% might be more like 18%, huh?
Yeah, or maybe, or a little bit more. So we have to figure out how to track that. And Jessica thought that they could do that through the assessor's office because you could attach that to the parcel kind of, and keep those statistics. Yeah, Bob.
Would they have to conserve it in order for it to be identified for us? Or do we just take the area that they're setting aside?
I mean, one of the issues with, some of the open space calculations is some of it is maybe lawn area and stuff like that. So I'm trying to figure out how you can, for instance, the wetland woodland open space, I think we should count, some of the little, lawn areas and stuff like that. I'm not so sure. I mean, they're valuable definitely for developments, but I'm not thinking that you kind of track that as the open space. But, some of the larger contiguous pieces certainly I think that would be, good to track. So Barry said, we were talking about having a goal of, where are we on the agenda? Oh, well, we were talking about having the goal that the U.S. has put out there is 30%, open space. And he said, if we preserved most of the, priority lands currently, it would be probably about 25%. So to, get to that 30%, one, we'd have to, be very aggressive in our, property conservation and so forth. And then also probably count some of this, some of the other more valuable open space that are a part of the PUD developments or some of the subdivisions that are maintaining some of their wetlands or woodlands.
Right, but Bob, I'm part of that Land Preservation Commission, and I don't know of any, of those 20-acre pieces that are in the middle of a development that have been, the development rights have been sold off.
And they don't have to sell the development rights, because if it's a PUD,
not been conserved in the way.
Yeah, but they have to be maintained as that open space, and they can't, they can't cut down the woods. They can't, as a part of their site plan, it's controlled. So it's a different, So it's a different way of
right. It just doesn't go through the,
the land preservation. So there aren't any Scio funds involved in, if you would say, conserving it. Yeah. Which is helpful too. And then we don't have to maintain it.
Right. There's several farms in the township, and that is open land, though much of it is not conserved. Right. So and it's private property, and
right.
I mean, a lot of conserved property is still private property, but it still is, the owner can do whatever they want with it. So the open land amount in Scio Township could be, I don't know, up into the 30% and above territory, but nobody's calculated that as far as I know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're tracking, sort of what's under conservation. Yeah. Or is part of other parks and so forth. Yeah. Okay.
I just also wanted to mention, I got feedback, and I know I sent it on to you, Jan, but it was the first thing I got, and I wasn't sure where to send it to you. So I'm not sure if it got through. I was unable to open those files also.
Okay. But, sorry. I apologize. I didn't realize that, because of course I can open them. All right.
Right. But I just, one person I did contact the Walk Bike Washtenaw for their response, didn't get anything. And I also did get something back from a bicycle enthusiast that lives in Scio that I know through social media. And he really liked the transportation part just fine. And his only other suggestion was if we could do anything about homeowners associations having overly restrictive rules about solar panels. So
Yeah, and it was interesting. I asked Doug about that, and he said he wasn't aware of any that outright banned them or whatever, but he thought that the regulation was in their review committee, where, if the review committee didn't want them on the front side of houses or something like that. And we don't have, and I asked him if we review those kinds of things. And it's kind of, if it's a PUD, we might be able to say, you can't do that. But no. They're really self-regulating, and they don't really interface with the zoning ordinances.
Right. It's at the state level, so we can't.
Yeah, it's more their own legal kind of, self-governance, basically. Right. So anyway, but and probably part of that is to maybe work with them, so that they see it as a more positive, and that's probably the best way to do it, I think. But, yeah.
Jan, do we have any public here?
Yes, we do.
Comments?
Yeah, we have public comments. So we'll open it up for that. Rob and Pam. Mm-hmm. True. Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. Yep. Well, thank you very much. We still have some metrics to work on, and hopefully can do that with the leadership. And Pam.
Thank you. I really enjoyed your opening discussion on, do you have gas? Do you have, and that kind of leads me into one of the things that I wanted to mention tonight. So I'll give you the good news first. We have solar, battery backup. We use heat pumps. We have 5 in our house. We have a 1960s ranch with a walkout basement. And we use the heat pumps. One is on now. I don't know if you can hear it. In the in-between season, for air conditioning. Mm-hmm. We have hot water heat, which I absolutely love, but I love my wood stove better. So my gas heat rarely comes on in the wintertime because we like our bedroom side of the house cold. So it usually isn't on at all unless for some reason nobody wants to bring in wood and start a fire. And we have a heat pump water heater. Mm-hmm. So, and we do have a plug-in hybrid. Now, and here's the bad news, is 2 years ago, we got my vehicle, the plug-in hybrid, for $359 a month, no down payment, three-year lease. My husband needs to replace his car, and he priced it out, and it's approximately $718 a month. And that is totally unaffordable for us. And I was shocked because with all of the going towards, electric cars or gas or hybrid cars, I was really shocked to see that kind of price there. So I wanted to put that out that I don't know what's going to happen a year from now when my lease ends. And the last thing is I will never give up my gas stove. Even if I were to like induction, I'm just too old school. I've done enough other stuff. That's where I draw the line. Thank you.
We need to get some really fun, maybe Scio chefs doing their home demos on their induction stoves.
We got a lot of education to put forward.
I'll sign up for a workshop and do a taste test.
Yeah, there you go. That would be interesting. I will admit that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to work on that. Yeah.
You see Norm's hand up there?
Yeah.
Jen, I had a question about the other category that you're talking about in maps. Could we expand on what it is you're trying to get at in that category?
You mean as far as the conserved land, or?
Well, both categories, I guess. Do they differ in any way?
Where are you looking, Norm?
Pardon?
Where are you looking?
Well, we were talking about that class cover. There's a SEMCOG map. I assume we're talking about the categories in the SEMCOG map.
You mean for the preserved spaces, or?
Well, it could be for both.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those were, I think is that a SEMCOG map or a government map? I'm not sure, using the GIS, but yeah, trying to understand a little bit more how, where we can get data. And that's where you're going to really help out, I think, Norm, with, we need to be more visual in, especially with natural features and conserved lands, the productive farmlands, really being able to use the GIS and satellite data so we can give people, those real visual pictures of Scio and the land use. Yeah.
Right. Well, there's always the distinction between land cover and land use.
Yep.
One is the plants that are out there, and the other is what do you do with those plants? And so I'm trying to get a handle on the cover that we need mapped, because that's what I'm focusing on, making sure that we have those inputs to whatever models have.
Yeah, I think the maps that I used in the natural features part were. I think there's a link in them, and it was a government map. It wasn't a SEMCOG map, and it was land cover. It was using,
that's the USGS land cover land use series.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
And those categories are nationwide.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's more like what's sort of existing and how that's changed, as opposed to zoning or some of those other pieces. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Norm, can we get to the percentage of the land here in Scio Township that isn't, developed in housing and isn't backyard and open land? I'm talking about.
Well, if we can define what that looks like from a vegetation or other standpoint, yes, we can. It may be like old field. It may be seedlings that somebody's planted. It may be bare soil. All of those could constitute the same category.
So if we define it, you could probably parse it out and come up with a number?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, this is Marty.
Hey, Marty.
Hi, I can't get you on my computer for some reason, so I'm on my phone.
Okay.
I'm still in the process of trying to get into the SEMCOG maps, but once we get in, I think a number of these things Norm will be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, hi, Marty. I think that'd be a good thing to do, Norm.
Yeah, that section of the report, I intend to talk about it with Jan on Sunday. That, I think, needs to be presented. The information as it is right now, not really very useful because it's so small you can't see it, and there's no way to add it up into percentage. So Norm and I are going to work on that, but I have to get him access to the maps that SEMCOG has.
Okay, do you want to email me what maps you want, or and we can go through our SEMCOG contacts?
I know whom to contact, and
Okay.
I have talked with Will, and Will is ready to say, yes, I give you permission. Scio gives you permission. I just haven't made the final connection.
Okay, great.
Well, Norm, you've got a pretty good hand on that, don't you?
Yeah.
SEMCOG.
Well, we're using ESA satellite data that's current as of last year. So it'll be 10 meters resolution. SEMCOG, I think, uses a mixture of data, including aerial photography.
Uh-huh. So, Marty, do you understand what's better? What Norm's got, or what?
No, I rely on what Norm says because he's the expert in this field.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is the way that we're producing this document. You almost need a link to the actual map to be able to make it useful, because just keeping it in a document, you can reference it, but you almost need to click on it and then be able to see I just provided the little map link in there, so people can go to the original mapping.
The product that we will make will be scalable, so you can display it at different resolutions.
That'd be great. Awesome. Okay.
So Norm, I mean, to get this done, do you need help? Do you want to make some definitions? And
the thing we need the most is, if someone has a model for decision making, we need to know what they need to go into their model, what categories, what level of detail, minimum type size, things like that. So if we have that, we can then tailor the product in a variety of different ways to fit anyone's model that is out there. So we're going to try and do that, not only from the standpoint of current cover and condition, but change over time. We'll use the SEMCOG map as 1 year, and we'll use ours as year 12, and we'll compute the difference between the two.
Yeah, so that sounds good. Do you want to get a little group together of 2 or 3 people and make those decisions? And
sure.
Okay. So, Jan, I'm just suggesting that I don't know if this has to be formal. And so I'd help you with that, Norm. Anybody else want to get in on that?
Well, I do. Yes.
Yeah, Marty, that'd be great. Yeah. And, I think if we can figure out productive farmland, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that. And the percentages.
Uh-huh. Well, we'd have to come up with a working definition of what productive farmland is.
Yep. Yep.
What does it look like through the year from a vertical perspective?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we can do that.
Good.
Marty, we're in that agriculture and open land part of the task force here. So, and Norm, you've been part of that. So let's, Marty, let's just put that together.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing, I don't know if you guys looked at, one of the things that we are trying to do is we have to try and figure out what tree canopy needs, and I don't know if there's a way to, via satellite, look at the health of a tree canopy, but also find out where there's lacking tree canopy, especially in residential areas in Scio. that has all sorts of health links and so forth. So the idea would be to put together the use of our, we have about $200,000 in the tree fund, and that's from developers that couldn't replace the trees that they cut down on their property. And
how much did you say?
200,000.
200. Yeah, that's
yeah, and it can be
what I've heard.
Both the trees and some maintenance. So there's some thought. Are there some preserved lands that need canopy enhancement, but also are there some residential areas that are lacking tree coverage? And it was kind of interesting. You can see the city of Ann Arbor did a whole analysis of where they should prioritize putting trees. And, so I think we could use the satellite imagery to inform, that Scio policy as well, so that we're making the best and, good investments in where those trees are planted. And obviously you need to have agreement that people are going to help maintain those trees too. It's sort of, So that would be very helpful from that.
So just be clear, Jan, you said there's a couple of $100,000 of Scio Township's money that's earmarked.
It's designated. There's a tree fund. So, for instance, most of it came from IHA. When they built that health facility, they took down an awful lot of trees. I wasn't even on planning commission then, but so you're required to, based on what trees you cut down and the size of them and so forth, to plant additional trees. And there's so many. And if you have a lot of very mature trees, it's very hard to plant that many trees in a development. And so you have to pay into this fund. And there's never been a policy on how to use that fund and where to plant those trees. So that's what Anna's trying to create and to recommend to the Board of Trustees as a policy. So part of what we wanted to do is find out how do you evaluate where the trees are really needed in the township. And so the idea would be, our conservation lands that may need canopy reinforcement and residential areas that are lacking tree canopy. What's the average tree
Jackson
canopy
Road
in resident? What's that?
And Jackson Road.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the third one would be business areas. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good.
So that's sort of the thinking there, but obviously that has a ways to go. But yes, having some sort of documentation of where trees are needed would be helpful. Okay. And
is there a way to partner with the Soil Conservation District on, kind of like offering trees for residents at a discount, or?
They
go ahead.
They don't, they have a program, as you know, right? Mm-hmm. They've got the spring and fall sales of plants, and and the prices are good. They're not super discounted or anything, but they're good, and the quality of the plants is good. And I don't know that they've got it within their bag of tricks to do anything different than that. You're suggesting that the Washtenaw County Conservation District do something extraordinary, right? For homeowners, something outside of the ordinary, cheaper.
Yeah, particularly thinking, more kind of, climate justice work. How can we offer folks, that may not be able to afford to put solar, can they plant some trees? Can they do some other things? So that's all.
Yeah. And I think, that could be as we looking at the canopy, where are we lacking? And, what are the other, their age, is their health issues. That's sort of what Ann Arbor did. They took all those kind of EJ maps. And Norm, have you seen the environmental justice maps and things that they have?
I have seen things like that. I don't know if I've seen their particular model.
Yeah, because there are several out there, and you can actually, so you could overlap canopy and other, income levels, other health issues, and you can come up, with the areas that you'd want to target for something like that. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we are planning to do is to block out the different units of forest and tree cover as you described them, and look at their spatial arrangement, their interspersion and juxtaposition, so we can see what parts of the township have large blocks, small blocks, intermediate blocks, certain forest types mixed with other forest types, or grass types. So it's going to be a very interesting exploration of those kinds of metrics, and then we can relate them to the social science metrics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It strikes me, though, that that's not going to go into our plan. That's going to be actual work that we do down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth, I like your idea, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a win-win, right? So it helps with flood control. It helps with, shade. It helps with lots of different things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Guess that's not going to show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I know, for instance, Ann Arbor has funded, their, and we could probably talk to the guy who's in charge of it. They give away 10,000 trees. And, that could be another, we could designate actually a portion of the tree fund to do something like that based on
Sure.
Certain things. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Who manages that tree fund, Jan? Who's in charge?
I think they've sort of asked Anna to come up, and I'm trying to help her with a policy to provide to the board. So then I don't know who in the end will actually take the action, but they need a policy first, and it seems like the policy should be based on some kind of data. Mm-hmm.
I think Elizabeth should be drafted into that effort.
All right.
Open your mouth and you get stuck.
That'd be great. Yeah. I think, that'd be awesome. Okay. All right. So our sort of schedule is to, and Elizabeth, I don't know if you have I know Kathy said what would be good is if I could send you, because Kathy, I know you spotted a few things. I've spotted a few things. I think I'm going to take the stuff that we imported a lot from Royal Oak and, on the definitions and so forth. And I'm going to go through that because I spotted a couple things that need changing. But maybe if I could send each of you a couple of the other sections just to do
Sure.
One, go through what Huron River Watershed Council has said, and just incorporate those. Kathy went through transportation. I don't think Huron River Watershed Council had any comments on transportation, but you can check. And I think all the other comments, we got some suggestions on transportation pieces, but they're more regional planning kinds of things, like using the Amtrak, the trains to have something going through. So that's probably more than, that would be a Watts thing or a SEMCOG.
Right. The Watershed Council did make some comments, but they were, to me, the comments were suggesting as our policy initiatives, things that are more fine-grained than that are more like a specific action we might take to meet that need. So I didn't really think it would be a good idea to actually change the wording that we have, but it would definitely fit within what we were doing.
Yeah. So maybe the next step on some of those action items is, some being more specific about
Mhm.
how we're working to accomplish those.
But will that go into this plan at this
No.
point? No,
Yeah, I don't think
so.
it can.
Yeah.
It bogs it down.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And plus, I think it's important now to, move it to planning commission to recommend approval to the trustees so we can at least get, the official approval since we're already doing some of these things. The other thing that it's been very helpful, and Kathy attended the SEMCOG one, is the way that some of the climate pollution reduction funding is coming through from the state, from the federal to the state, is the first round is a kind of a planning grant for like climate action planning. They're calling climate pollution reduction. And Grand Rapids, Detroit, and the state all qualified by population to be eligible for the planning grants, which are just allocations. And Scio, it can then be part of either a state process or a SEMCOG process. And I think it probably makes sense to do the SEMCOG process because there, even though there's higher population, access to money is easier. It's not like the whole state. But then the next round is implementation funding, and those are the bigger dollars. And and that's competitive. So if Grand Rapids, the state, and SEMCOG all are competing then for those implementation dollars. So what was really nice is we could give them our draft climate action plan and say, these are the things that we think are important, to include in the plans. And that also gives them leverage, in the planning process. Look, we have communities that are already engaged in this piece. And so I think that's been really helpful. Both the state used some, we were pulling together things statewide and also with SEMCOG. So we'll see. And plus it gives us some visibility. Okay. So what I'd like to do is, if there are a couple people that are willing to do that, kind of final editing piece, what we want to have it back in by May 10th. So, and I can give you the Word documents that were put into the plan, so it's easier to edit, unless you want to do, because that's probably easiest for the graphic artist if we update the Word, and then she can
the Word documents.
Yeah.
I've been trying to deal with the other, and the Word documents are really what we need.
Yeah. So I have those because that's what I actually gave the graphic artist. So then we can go back and edit those. And she gave us the templates if we needed to edit the templates at all. So then that just gets reinserted in the graphic piece. And so what the parts, Marty, you're taking care of ag and water and natural resources. Is that correct?
Yeah, with you and I have most discussion on the green spaces.
Yeah. Okay. So really it's energy and materials and waste. And then, sort of the more general pieces that need editing. So Kathy, do you have time to do one or two of those?
I could do it, but I don't have Word.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have Word on your computer?
I use Google Documents, so.
You can pull
I
into
can do
Google
that.
Docs.
Yeah, we can do that.
If that's fine, I can do that.
Okay. All right.
Because you can always download as a Word document.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can always upload them into Google for you.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Are you going to put them in a folder?
What's that?
Are you going to put them in the folders so that we could all look at them?
Yeah. Want me to do that? I'll put because I think most of them are in there. I'll just identify the folder differently because I put them in for Allison, who's the graphic person, to do them. So, yeah. Want me to just send that link out to that folder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So everybody can kind of do a final edit, and then I'll send out an email on the 10th to just say, I want to make sure everybody's done with their edits. Yeah.
How do you want us to edit it? And then do we email you an edited copy? Because you don't want us to change them on the drive.
Well, I'm having Kathy go ahead and change it.
Kathy can do what Kathy can do, but I don't know that you want every one of us.
Every one of you. Yeah. If you want to do that and just say, these are my suggested edits or something. I just want to have, it would be good to have one final editor for the certain sections. Kathy's gone through transportation. And if you're willing to do energy and materials, circular economy, then is there someone else that would be willing to do we just have emergency preparedness and resilience, and then the kind of upfront portion of the document. Elizabeth? Okay.
Yeah. I'll volunteer to do the upfront portion of the document. I like kind of the public outreach and summary. So I'm happy to do that piece.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
Good.
And then, okay, Kathy, I'll just add the emergency preparedness and resilience. That's probably one of the shorter ones anyway.
Okay, so materials and waste, energy, and resilience.
Resilience, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that should be, yep.
And I should wait to get information from the people in the groups first, or just go ahead and do it?
I'd say go ahead and do it and then add in if anybody else gives you stuff.
Yeah, and so what we can do is if anybody else has suggestions, email them. Either if it's the upfront part to Elizabeth, if it's any of the sections, they go to Kathy. If it's ag, water, or the natural ecosystems, it goes to Marty.
Okay.
And so then, Jan, if there's any question about if there's a conflict of one person has said one thing and another person has said another, then just kind of make a note of that and send it to you.
Yeah, that's fine. And then if we need to do a fact check or something like that, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. And if we need to vote on anything, we'll just send out an email. Yeah, so far we haven't had too much.
It's looking good.
Yeah. Okay, so then we'll then by May 10th, and that's going to allow me to then get it to the graphic artist so that she can finish it up. And then the goal would be to post it and for approval at the Planning Commission. And then after that, it would go to Board of Trustees. All right.
Good.
Cool. All right. Yeah, our two interns are taking this week off after graduation. So they'll be starting, and I included in our the email sort of a draft that was put together, sort of to describe their work this summer. Both of them are going to be working part-time. And they're both, Zoe is one of them and Kyle is the other. So they're really familiar with us and the plan and, some of the contacts and so forth. So I don't know if folks have any thoughts on that document.
Jan, I'm not clear on what they're going to be working on. I'm glad.
Okay, yeah. So with the agenda, was sent out it was called ESTF Summer Internship Doc.
Yeah.
Okay. And Kathy and Norm have agreed to kind of mentor them and making sure they're touching base with them. And so there are really a couple to kind of describe it without reading it word for word, is we think we need to have two kind of foundational educational kinds of things. One would be for staff and our elected officials, our leaders. And that would be sort of a foundational, what is the climate action plan? And, everybody's making decisions. Scio doesn't have a real big hierarchy. So everybody that's doing their job needs to kind of have a foundation in this so that choices they make and so forth are informed by sustainability and climate action. So that's sort of so it's staff, anybody coming into Scio Township, would have, it would be part of their onboarding. And what's nice is we do have there'll be new leadership in the new township manager and the financial manager coming in. So this would be a good opportunity to make that part of, their sort of orientation and onboarding to the township. And then the second piece is to do something similar for folks that want to, I think Ann Arbor uses them as ambassadors. They're folks that are really, this is something that's really important to them, and they want to be advocates in their neighborhoods, in the organizations they're members of, within Scio. So they probably have similar content, but, one would be more ordinance and policy driven, and the other one would be more, what residents can do kind of thing. So that was the thinking, that they could put together those and kind of pilot them and help us do some education and awareness. So that was one of the big items. And then continuing, they've put together sort of an ongoing communications plan and thinking about how how we can better use the website, what information needs to go on the website, sort of that content as far as website and also newsletter, and then tie into some of the HOA newsletters with content so that we can be feeding, more of that network. And it's good to have Pam Boyd back because, Pam has a pretty good, newsletter network as well. So, just trying to feed in information so we get it, out there. So that's also part of the internship and website.
And would HOAs include Scio Farms?
Yes.
Okay.
And actually it would be HOAs and a lot of it. We don't have that many apartment complexes, but they also have newsletters and websites and so forth. And not all of them have been with open arms about passing on our content, but I would say a good 50% of them were open to it. So that's a start. And then yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I ask Pam a question?
Sure.
Pam, probably everybody on the call here is not aware of your newsletter. Can you just tell us all how to access that?
It goes to everybody on the Sustainable Task Force. So everybody should get a copy of it. And I do believe I sent you the one this week, my reintroduction to putting out the newsletter. Did anyone not get it?
I don't think I do get it unless it goes to my junk for some reason.
It could go to your junk mail. You would not be the first
Check it
person.
out.
Yeah, and we also cleaned up our so ESTF at Scio township.org is our group email. So we Christy cleaned that up for us. So
okay. I will resend it to that email because I had the longer email address. Okay, I'll do that right now, actually.
Okay, great. And hopefully that will, so then everybody can see, they can check their clutter or their junk.
Right.
To make sure they get it. But that's the cleaned up email because the other one was a little too long. Christy said, we won't do that one.
Thank you.
Pam, is it under your name? Does it come out?
It will come to you from my business email address, which is pam@buyersagentannarbor.com. I'm not a realtor, just married to one is my little thing there.
Got it.
So, and I'm going to go to my email and I'm going to send that out in the next minute here. And so, and this is a abbreviated version because I've been out taking care of family issues. There is a website that has most of the last year's emails or newsletters on it. So you can go back and you can look at my old newsletters as well. All right. Thank you. Thank you for asking that.
I did get it and it was in my junk.
It was in your junk? Okay.
I
Get
don't consider it junk, Pam.
As long as I'm recycled or something like that, right?
Right.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So if anyone, we're also having Zoe and Kyle review this. And I think they officially start next week. So if people have comments or thoughts on the scope of work, why don't you just email those to me?
So Jan?
Yes.
Let me just throw a quick comment out there. I'm going to be following the work of the interns this summer with particular interest because I just hired a team of interns myself for my work for the summer. And much of what I see on that page, it's not exactly the same, but let's say it's in sync with some of the things I'm trying to do on the event side of things. So I am more than open to sharing the work that I'm going to assign them. And I will be watching what comes out of these two. And if they want to collaborate, I'm perfectly open to that.
Oh, awesome. I bet they'd love it too. And then the other thing that we are going to be doing, we're trying to work. Andy, did you ever hear back from Mike Apple by any chance?
No, I have not. I'll reach out to him again.
Okay, and I'll try and give him a call because we're going to have an initial event, which is the native planting at the fire station. We're doing seeding directly underneath the solar. Oh, by the way, Andy, is it connected to the grid now?
It is not, unfortunately. I got an email from Mark today.
Okay.
Still waiting on the DocuSign. It's been going to Jim Rudy's email.
Oh no.
Yeah, so we're working through that, but we're getting close.
Okay. All right. So anyway, we're one of the first people I think that are going to be using the seed mix that was designed to go under solar panels, and then it'll go on between the school and the solar panels will be seeded, and then it'll go around back behind the storage building, and then between the parking lot and the solar panels, we're going to do plug planting of native plants. And Mike Apple is going to do a quick little planting demonstration and talk a little bit about the plants. And we're working with Anna Cohn, so she can do her little listserv of Scio outside. What is that called? I think it's Scio. Yeah. And maybe Pam, we can enlist your help in recruiting volunteers to plant the plugs between the parking lot and the solar thing. So the question is whether people think it would be better a weekday evening, like 7 to 9, or a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, a Sunday afternoon. Any thoughts on, participation levels?
I personally would prefer a Saturday morning or afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to do it this month or next month?
It'll be sometime the end of May, the beginning of June, no later than, early June. If you were to volunteer, any preferences?
Evening.
Weekday evening?
Yeah.
I could handle that too. Mm-hmm. I've been trying to get a hold of Mike Apple. He doesn't respond.
Yeah, he's very busy right now. Yeah.
Evening probably would be better for me too.
What's that?
I was going to say evening probably would work better for me too, depending on which evening gets selected. But
mm-hmm. Okay.
Since it's staying lighter later, that'd probably work well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And if we get 20 people, you can plant a lot of plants in 3 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours. 2 hours, right? Well, I don't, closer we get later in June, it might be late till 10. No. But 2 hours, yeah. So we need probably, we need a good 24 people, I think, to plant that in a couple hours. Yeah.
How many trees?
They're all plugs, native plant plugs.
And how many of them? Hundreds?
Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. But he's going to prep the soil for us, so there won't be hard digging. Mm-hmm.
What about the seeding? Is that going to be done by Mike himself?
The feeding?
Seed. When you're planting just the seeds, not the plugs.
Seeds. Yeah, he's going to do the seeding. Mm-hmm. We're just going to do the plugs. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Jan, so I'm happy to put it in the newsletter. Just remember that the newsletter is now going to twice a month and not every week. So if you know the date, or when you know the date, get that to me so that I can make sure and include that.
Okay, good.
And I'm happy to do that. Absolutely.
And Pam, you can always send out a group email, right?
Yes, I can. I can do that as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, and that'll help a lot. So I think between all the commissions and so forth, we can get people to show up. So that'd be great. All right. Then let's see. I think that's it. Any other public comment?
Oh, we still on public comments?
Well, no, we have a one at the end. Okay. All right. Then minutes. Thank you again, Kathy.
Sure.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Great. And then, so the thought is, I have I'm going to be doing the solar stories on June 1st. And so I thought we'd go to June 8th, and then the thought was the week of 4th of July is not a great week. I guess that's a vacation week for a lot of people. So we do June 8th, July 13th. And was it Kathy? Did you say you were going to take the 13th? Yeah, because I'm not going to be there then. And then August 3rd, 7th, 5th, November 2nd, 7th. As our monthly meetings. I did put the newsletter deadlines in. We have a May 19th newsletter deadline. So we're going to try and figure out, try and get the newsletter goes out in, I think it's July, it'll be received in July. So we have some time to work on the website so we can direct people to the website again. In our articles, but also talk about some of our action steps and so forth in the newsletter article and some resources. So if people have some specific ideas that you think would be really good for the newsletter article, the interns are going to be working on that in the next 2 weeks. So if you know of some things, like if we want to highlight some CSAs, if we want to highlight, Norm, if we want to highlight any of the, tree canopy work or some of the mapping work or something like that, things that people would be interested in, or also actions that people can take. So we'll maybe do a save the date we have to come up with a really good name for our October event with the fire station open house. So if anybody has any, early morning eureka moments, that would be fun. Yeah. And then I already went over the SEMCOG grant process. So all that money, the implementation, I think it's going to be 2024 when the implementation grant competition is due. So, this money probably isn't going to be coming in until the fall of 2024 at the earliest. So, no.
But it sounds like we need to have very specific, detailed, ready to go plans for specific projects.
Exactly.
To hand in.
It's shovel ready kind of things.
Right.
Yeah. So, the other thing, if I'm pushing the powers that be, because transportation is a really important planning element, and Scio does not have anybody doing transportation planning. We have, the parks and the pathways, and they are not necessarily that interested in bike lanes and mass transit and that kind of thing. So if and that may be something we need to, I don't want to just go out there and do it on my own, but talk to folks, the leadership folks, and say, that's just something that, if we recruit some people, can we have a committee? I don't know. Because it's a really important piece of land planning.
We ought to get the DDA involved.
Yeah.
When I was on the DDA,
I'm actually going, I've decided nobody else is volunteering. So I'm going to be the liaison, and going in the first DDA meeting that I'm going to go to is May 8th. I'm also, and the planning commission is taking on Jackson Road corridor. And so we obviously have to involve the DDA in that planning process. So I'm going to talk to the chair of the DDA and, kind of see, how he wants to kind of work on it with us. And also we haven't gotten any comments back from them. So I'm going to, in my 3 minutes, go over all of those things. So, yeah. And also talk to them a little bit about the developing the tree policy. Because they're talking about landscape again, a landscape project on Jackson
Oh,
Road.
my. Where are they going to put it?
I'll find out maybe. Yeah,
Well,
or tune
I
in.
was on the DDA. The big subject was the trees in the median,
Hmm.
and the trees just kept dying or being run over.
Yeah.
And so it was a big issue.
Yeah. So I don't know what they're planning, but it's on Zoom, so you can also join. It's at noon on Monday. So if anybody's interested.
Can you advocate if they're doing landscaping? Can you advocate at all for native plantings?
Definitely.
And they might as well start big trees.
Yeah.
You know, we got to have some big trees. These scrubby little things are scrubby little things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there are certain trees that do better. And, I don't want to say it's an urban environment, but it's an urban environment there, you don't, yeah. So,
Well,
okay.
they have to suffer through, Michigan winter and road salt and everything else. So
We also have some water infrastructure running down the middle of the median. So that's something to think about as far as what size of tree, try to prevent root invasion.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should put them on the side then.
Help shade the walkway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Any other announcements or any goings on? Ann Arbor's going to plan some fun things for A20 week. If you guys are interested, it's the first week. It's the June 4th. June 4th week. They'll have some fun things to do. And
of what sort?
They usually have bike repair stuff and gatherings. They sometimes have electric vehicle trials where you can go try EVs. They'll have an A20 drink from one of the distilleries. So it's some serious stuff and some just fun stuff. Yeah, but they haven't released the plans yet. And if you're interested, May 9th, our Lunch and Learn for the 2030 district is going to be an update from Drew Horning at the U of M, Andrew DeLue from the county, and then and also Missy. And Missy's going to talk about what they're planning for the next year, which it also includes that Ann Arbor is actually going to pull out an incentive plan for electrification of residents and businesses and so forth. So I think they're doing some interesting work. So, and that's via Zoom. I'll send out the little flyer if you guys, if you want to sign up for it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other? Well, then I'd say we're done.
Good.
Yeah.
I move that we close the meeting. I've got to get off.
Second.
Sounds
I'd
good.
like to know why I couldn't sign on.
That's weird. Well, I'm glad your phone came on.
Yeah, at least.
Hey, Marty, do you want to put together a time or just a note to get together with Norm and do the work?
Well, yeah, I'm planning to talk with him, but after I touch base with the SEMCOG people, because I got to get him the GIS coordinates for the Scio Township. And I also need to get them to let us have the map that they published in 2010 so that we can have a 10-year differential. So, yeah, I'll get in touch with you because, I'd like some help on that, on the green space section. I've made some changes in the agricultural section too, which probably you ought to look over.
Okay, good. So you want to send those to me? we can cover this when other people don't have to listen to us, but yeah.
Yeah. They're in paper form. So
You
I'm
can take a
happy to sit
picture.
down and show you.
You can take a picture and send it to them.
Yep.
That works.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to stop the recording because we're adjourned. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So people.
Okay.
I'll see you Sunday afternoon at 3.